hurricane, a tidal wave. Essence perfect, life looks brilliant. Give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, burying me. Yeah, you're burying me, burying me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. Whoa. I can see, I can hear, going crazy for the light. It's got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Said you out of my head.
Now that was a whole bunch of fun. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the WWE Backlash post show. And that intro definitely doesn't do any justice to what we saw on the card here tonight. I'm Bobby Munson, and I am joined by the natural Astrid Pizarro beside me. Astrid, how are you doing?
Bonjour! I can do that.
There we go.
It feels very apart with it. No, doing good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. And bonjour to Ed as well, too. Ed, thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
¿Cómo ça va?
What?
Nobody? Come on. Ça va bien et toi? See, that's all I can do.
use lingo for Spanish.
Well, we're not in any Spanish-speaking country. I'm sorry.
Well, then I'm going to be useless here.
And hello to Basser, who's joining us in the chat here tonight. Thank you for joining us. And of course, Melball Collins joining us as well, too. Good afternoon, beauties. And if you want, go check out the latest episode of Melball and Andre's Japanese Wrestling Update that took place yesterday. Wonderful show. Like, follow, subscribe, all those wonderful things as well here on this channel. Girl, I'm French, and even I don't.
What? ¿Cómo ça va? You don't know that one at least? Jeez. Tough crowd.
Remember, I did mention that French Canadian is slight bit different from French. Some differences. Maybe that's why it is. That's it. We've got it all figured out. But what was easy to figure out was...
I don't think any of that's going to be useful here.
What we were able to figure out is you don't need a translation for a hot crowd. Because in any language, a hot crowd is exciting to work with. And I had a lot of fun watching this show here tonight. What a time. What's good, guys? If they do a Mania in France, they will have to do it in Paris. Would have to ask the city to use the Olympic Stadium. Yeah, and hello to Throwback. Thank you for joining us there as well, too. But let's talk about this card. Let's start with the fact that this was a dead on the nose 3-hour card of pure wrestling. Hardly any promo stuff in between. What they did have was to the point and on point. They had a little backstage segment at one point in the night that we can talk about too. But other than that, this was all in the ring. This was everything that we slightly complained about with Elimination Chamber with too much of the other way happening. This was the opposite to that. Before we go match by match, individual thoughts, starting with you, Astrid, on the entire night that was Backlash.
I mean, the crowd really made the show, to be honest, because the energy they had, it just reminds me so much of Puerto Rico, and it goes back to what I've been saying about any international fans. Like, they appreciate it more because they don't get to see it often, so you can see that by their reactions tonight from the random singing that we get throughout the night, and everything.
La 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 la.
Everything, because even they sang voices, they sang Kingdom, they sang to Bayley, so it was a little bit of everything. But I love their energy because it just shows how excited they are to see their favorite stars. And you think they only got a 3-hour show, and it's like they only got a minimal number of people. Imagine if they had a bigger show. I cannot begin to imagine it. And I think of all the people getting alerts on their watches of how loud the crowd is. It just really shows you this is the loudest that we've heard anybody.
Yeah, it really was. Ed, your thoughts on this show as a whole?
I was really impressed by this show. It's, as Tom Colley who called it, it's the typical Triple H show. It's less matches, more in-ring time. The matches might be a little bit more predictable in terms of results, but you watch the show, you enjoy the show, but at the end of the show, it feels like nothing really changed. And I'm okay with that. Not every pay-per-view, not every premium live event needs to be groundbreaking change. We just did that at WrestleMania. Let's take some time to have some fun. This show was about, let's have some fun. The crowd was into it. And remember, we're not going to see a premium live event US crowd until Cleveland in August. Because we go to Saudi Arabia next. Boo. We go to Toronto after that. Yay. We then go to Berlin. And I don't know if Berlin is before or after SummerSlam, but we either go to Cleveland, then Berlin, or Berlin, then Cleveland. Either way, SummerSlam is the next time we get to have a big show in the United States. And I'm cool with that because it means, one, for us, we get to do this at a reasonable time. It's 4:20, smoke them if you got them, on the East Coast here. And we'll be done and dusted with this. Then we can go enjoy our Saturday night. Like, that's great. If this is the Triple H era, I'm
Oh, here we go.
Oh, I am forgetting Clash the Castle.
Dang.
Thank you for the raid from, I'm assuming Get the Table is going to have Richie Vargas, one of the moderators for Get the Table. So I'm going to assume Get the Table. So thank you, Tony, for that raid on the Twitch side.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we do appreciate it. I couldn't see it showing up here, weirdly enough, but that could just be on my screen. So
yeah, I'm
going to give a shout out to Get.
I know it's Tony because it's Richie.
Mm-hmm.
Richie is a fantastic moderator over there for that. And even if it's not Get the Tables, we still want to shout out Get the Tables. Yes, sir. I was correct.
There we go. And the shout out has been done. Thank you very much. We really do appreciate the raid coming in. And
oh, here comes Hyde. It's not as bad as me calling Scotland, Ireland, and England the same, but I mean.
Oh, you did you?
I last year during WrestleMania weekend, I did in fact.
Shame
talking
on
about
you,
Drew
Ed.
McIntyre, so
Shame.
Scotland, Ireland, England, it's all the same.
Dang.
You know what we would do to Mark in this kind of situation?
You heathen! I don't think Ed knows Scotland exists.
Jeez.
I knew there was a pay-per-view in there I was forgetting, but I didn't want it, so I just kept going.
Dang, Ed, what a way to start the show.
You know what? At least you have a new clip, Astrid. It's fun.
I don't do the clips. He does. There we go. Jeez.
So should we talk about some wrestling?
Yeah.
We can.
We can. Well, there wasn't a lot of it in the opening match, but that's okay because this was a match that if you're going to have a beautiful car crash, this was the match to do it in. KO and RKO versus Tonga, Solo Sikoa. That didn't even get started. We got a hot fight going between these two teams, and out comes Nick Aldis. He's had enough. No. If you guys want to do this, fine. Let's go at it. No rules. Kick the living tar out of each other, and that's exactly what we got. Absolute chaos, absolute madness, stuff going on all over the place. The crowd loving it. That hot crowd added to every single bit of this opener. Again, if you're going to do a gimmick like this, this is the way to do it. It was done beautifully. It held the attention of people watching around the world, as well as that audience that was there in Lyon, France here tonight. Absolutely dynamite. And we'll talk about the twist of this in a little bit, but I mean, feel free to bring it up too. But we'll go to you first on this one, Ed. Your thoughts on this opener?
Although this was a bunch of fun, I thoroughly enjoyed this because this was never going to be a good wrestling match. Like, let's be honest. These guys are all ultra talented. But, yeah. We'll get to Camacho in a minute. But I didn't want to see this as a wrestling match. They've portrayed this entire storyline as a fight. An out-of-control bloodline should not be in a wrestling match. So I like the idea that this match starts right off the bat being out of control. Nick Aldis says, well, screw it. If you guys don't want to follow rules, fine. We just won't have any rules. Go ahead. Have fun. And I think that worked specifically because it also made this match different from everything else on the card. Everything else on the card is your relatively bog standard wrestling match. We had a tag team championship match. We had a triple threat women's match. And then we had just singles world championship matches. Everything else was relatively standard. So to have a fight, to have something going on. Yes, I see the comments. I'm going to leave my was really great. And then up pops what I thought was, another Samoan. And I'm like, oh look, Jacob Fatu. And I looked closer and I'm like, that doesn't look like Jacob Fatu.
No.
And it's at the same moment that everybody in the world seemingly looked at. We were all expecting Jacob Fatu. Mm-hmm. Everybody in the world knows he's been signed, knows they were working on getting him travel restrictions to get him to Paris, France. Apparently, he's backstage today at the show. But nobody talked hide nor hair, except for Big E on the pre-show, about Tangaloa coming here. Or as I call him, Mexican Loa. Because that's what Camacho was. But no, this guy is ultra talented. Having the Gorillas of Destiny in WWE changes things. This rogue bloodline is now very dangerous. Because they're now going to be able to go after everything. Solo Sikoa can go into a story with Cody Rhodes. Jacob Fatu, when he debuts, can start going for that U.S. title. And I only say U.S. title because you don't want to debut him and put him above Solo. At this point, you need to make Solo the star of this group. And then you have Gorillas of Destiny who can go after those tag titles. SmackDown is in for a world of change in the near future with this rogue bloodline. And if this isn't Survivor Series War Games, Bloodline versus Bloodline, they've missed the fucking boat.
Oh, yes.
If that's not the long-term plan here.
And a quick shout out to our friend Tom Gallagher for the line earlier today on May the 4th be with you of these are not the Samoans you were looking for, but they were the ones we got, and I am not disappointed.
They are Tongans first. Let's also not forget these are Tongans.
Fair enough. But let's,
Jacob is Samoan, but
yeah, we'll go to the chat real quickly here and then get Astrid's thoughts as Barry coming in with the line of the night. Scotland isn't a real country. It's mythical like Narnia, Middle Earth, or Canada. How dare you, Barry? How dare you? I mean, you have heard the song Blame Canada because we're not even a real country anyway. Barry says you. But Wales isn't real either. Oh, now we're getting a debate on which countries are real, which ones aren't. How dare you? And as Bellball saying, the creator of Sword, Hammer. Salute to Andre. But yes, we got quite the battle of the countries going on there. But Astrid, your thoughts on this whole beautiful mess of a matchup?
I mean, it was a fun match. I really enjoyed this. It's just like everybody else expecting Jacob. And then when I see Tonga, I was like, I was waiting, hoping he would come here sometime soon. I was not expecting it today like everybody else. And it's just nice to see this happening because I feel like now I'm interested in the storyline again. Because when Roman was champion, I was already at the point of like, I'm done with this because it's always the same thing. But now that we get this, it just brings something refreshing. And I like how the storyline keeps progressing, even with Roman's absence. Because even adding to that point of like Heyman said he hasn't talked to Roman since WrestleMania. He's the one that removed him from the draft as well. So it wasn't Roman's decision either. And right now, everybody's wondering who's the tribal chief because is it still Roman making the moves or not? Because Heyman doesn't know. So it's always interesting to see all these layers getting added up, even when he's out of TV right now. And like, the part that Ed was saying about the war games, like just perfectly set up for this. You think of like, who would have thought that we would get them, Tama and Tangaloa here, and to get this involved here in so many things, and to have the New Japan mentions, not only from the kickoff but during the show as well, is so some of those things that it wouldn't happen before. We wouldn't have been getting backgrounds on who they are because of New Japan and their backgrounds. So that now we're on the Triple H, we get to get the background story on those. So it's like, for those that don't know, they get that background story there, and it's nice to see them getting mentioned and not getting passed up as they're like new people that we don't know who they are, and it's nice to see them making those connections there as well. But again, this was something that I expected. I expected the Bloodline to win because, as Solo said, if you lose, there's consequences. So I was not expecting them to lose this match as it was happening. But again, very interesting story going forward. I'm looking forward to how this goes up in SmackDown. As long as SmackDown feels hot again.
Yeah, it really does. And it also begs the question that we speculate that Jacob Fatu is coming in as an enforcer to this version of the Bloodline. Nobody is talking about the fact that maybe Jacob Fatu comes in as a forcer to help, say, another side of the Bloodline with the internal battle going on. We've never brought that up at any point in time, but maybe there's a reformation that consists of Jacob Fatu, the Usos, and Roman Reigns or something, with The Rock pulling the strings over on the other side, especially if you're going to lead up to a potential Bloodline War Games matchup, which I'm sure everybody loves the idea of that coming about.
And that's where you bring in Hikuleu. Like, that's where you bring him in. He's the fourth for that side. He's the big guy on that side.
Yep.
Because I think Rock is going to be tied up with Cody. So I think you can tell these two different Bloodline stories where Rock divorces himself from the Bloodline to deal with trying to take the title from Cody, while Roman is solely focused on becoming the tribal chief, taking back his title. Not his championship, but his title.
Yeah.
And I think that building to a big match between Roman and Solo at next year's WrestleMania, I think is a fantastic idea. And you build to that by building these two bloodlines on two different shows. When Jimmy comes back, you put Jimmy on Raw. You debut Jacob on Raw with Roman, so that Roman can keep him under control, so that he doesn't get into any trouble. Make sure he shows up for his events, because we all know, especially the MLW fans, Jacob is kind of known for, shall we say, missing an event or two.
Hey, he never missed the MLW ones. He always showed up for the MLW ones.
Well, yes, that's because those are bigger paydays than the indies that he was taking their money and then not showing up for.
Not if you ask some of the people who've been there before.
This is different. We do have Megan coming in saying Triple H confirmed. We've seen all over the place that, yes, people are absolutely getting decibel, which is crazy to think that we're getting decibel alerts at friggin' wrestling shows. That's so great.
Oh, it's awesome.
He's also just mentioned Shadi Khan's re-election as the mayor of London. Hey, I'm all in favor of a London WrestleMania. Let me tell you.
Oh, yeah.
WrestleMania is going to be at 2:00 in the afternoon every day. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, let's do it. I love these pay-per-views that are on during the daytime, so we can do these post shows. And then by the time it's all said and done, it's time to eat and drink and have a good old time.
I've still got a Bruins game to watch tonight when they destroy another Canadian relic in the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, well, whatever. It is what it is. It's just hockey.
I do kind of want to get to bed at 9:00. If the hockey game's done by then, that'll be great. It only
when was the last time that you got to bed at 9:00 at night, Ed?
Good point.
I was probably working the overnights, but that's besides the point. Let's go ahead and talk. Let's move on and let's talk triple threat here. It was absolutely Tiffy time in this triple threat match. And it was a good one. I'll be honest. I really enjoyed this. I thought these three had very good chemistry. They worked well together. And at the end of the day, the right decision was made. Bayley pins Naomi, which doesn't hurt Naomi in any stretch of the imagination. Tiffany Stratton continues to come out of these matches with these big stars getting better and looking better than ever. To the point where woman-hating Dave Meltzer says that this was one of the two best women's matches in North America this year, and that Tiffany Stratton, if she continues the pace that she's at, could become one of the most talented in-ring women's performers ever. Now, I adore Tiffany Stratton. I do. I think she's great. I don't know what he's smoking to think that she's even remotely approaching that level yet. But yes, she has the potential. But she has to do this for another 10 years to even crack the conversation of being one of the most talented in-ring women's wrestlers of all time.
No, that's true. Especially to say the all-time moniker is kind of the key factor of what you're looking at there. Now, to say a top quality, one of the best in the world currently wrestlers, yes, very fair. That is very potentially possible, and everybody can see that level of talent. That is why the world is paying attention and why they were paying attention here. Tiffany was getting reactions. I love the spot when Bayley's coming out and she goes and stands beside the fan that has the "It's Tiffy time" sign, and she yells out loud, "Oh, we'll see about this, won't we?" Or whatever. And you got Tiffany back in the ring doing the "It's Tiffy time" thing against her wrist kind of thing. This was all played off the crowd so perfectly. And again, I can't add any more than what Ed said about this. It was high energy, right decisions were made. It was great. Again, that's going to be a consistent theme with many of the matches here on Backlash. Nothing was boring. Nothing made me say, "Oh, I need to take a quick break and go grab a drink or something," other than, "Oh, there's a quick advertisement. I can run as fast as possible over to my fridge and grab a hydration drink here at this point in time," because that was the only level of time I had that I didn't want to be plunked right here watching the event. So, Astrid, your thoughts on this wonderful match?
I mean, this match is just magical. It really was. And I like how I knew from the beginning that Tiffany was going to get protected, but I still didn't make the match any less entertaining for me and enjoyable, knowing that she was probably going to be protected in some kind of way. But I had a feeling Bayley was still going to retain. We still have more just to be done there. I just expected Nia to be a part of it somehow after she attacked them on SmackDown. But either way, I feel like they did incredible together. I think also the story here with Bayley and Naomi, I was wondering how that was going to go about at the end of having Naomi hug her. And then when she raised her hand, I was thinking, no, please don't do this here. People are loving you. Please don't do this. So I feel like something else is going to be brewing right there pretty soon as well. But still, was like the girls did so incredible playing off of the crowd the way they did. I love the crowd, doing the fist with Naomi for the entrance too. It's like that kind of energy is what we need all the time from them. And to see the love that the ladies were getting, I really enjoy that too. Not only in this match, but in the women's tag match. They got such an incredible love, and it's nice to see the girls getting that energy just as well as the guys, and showing that they're appreciated for what they're doing as well. And like you guys were saying, is like to think of not only Tiffany debuting here in just a couple months and being part of the Rumble and now being already in a world title match, it's just incredible to think about. But I feel like it definitely I know that she is popular right now, but she still needs more time before she gets that championship. I don't expect it to happen anytime soon, at least. But again, she showed off why she belongs with these ladies and how she transitioned very well from NXT to the main roster now in so little time. And it's just incredible to think about it. She was one of those people like Bianca that so smoothly just joined the main roster. She was belonging there from the beginning. So it's nice to see that these are the people that have been created for the PC from scratch. And look at the results now, how popular they are.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. From there, we went from the women's championship matchup to the world championship matchup. We got main event Jey Uso taking on Damian Priest. And of course, Astrid, we need to hear from you first. It's all about that Damian. What do you think?
It's all about El Campeón. I definitely love that introduction there for him. It was very nice to see something different for him. What I like about this match is just the fact that we see Damian changing little by little here with the group, because we get JD being there and Balor being there. He's like, get it to your thick skull, your thick head. Like, I don't need your help. I don't want your help. And the fact that even after the match, when he wins, the way that they start attacking Jay, and he's like pushing them off, and there's two of them versus one of him, and he's still trying to push him off and tell him, he's like, I don't want this to happen. And then he's celebrated, but he looks really serious because he doesn't like what happened. And we had that distraction from Balor, the distraction from JD putting Damian's foot on the ropes. He even told us like, I don't need your help with Jay, I really don't. But they still came in and I assisted. So to see how that will keep moving forward with Judgment Day, because he's telling them, like, I can do it by myself, I don't need your help, but they're still coming and have a distraction and get in the match somehow. And to see that he doesn't appreciate it happening, I can see that character change now happening there too. And I really am enjoying how he's changing. And I'm glad he's still champion. Mi campeón is still there. I love it.
Fantastic. Ed, your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to look at this and go, it was fine. But it was. Like, it was the least entertaining match of the night for me. And that's sad because it was good, but at the same time it's like foregone conclusion, Judgment Day interference. I can't wait for the babyface turn for Damian Priest. Granted, it's going to come right as he loses the championship to Drew McIntyre, so sad times all around for all of this. But I mean, what can you say? Damian Priest is a hell of a champion. He looks great coming out with that championship. Hopefully this puts him into that permanent main event level that he needs to be, because I think he's still teetering between mid-carder, upper mid-carder, and main eventer. And hopefully the next couple of months get him to that next level. I would like to see in Saudi Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. That's the match I'm hoping for that we get in Saudi. I think that's where we need to go with this. Turn him face, because also with face, it makes it a whole lot easier to book Drew McIntyre as we head into Clash of the Castle, which I do remember is an actual pay-per-view in a place that theoretically exists somewhere out there in Europe.
Somewhere out there, way down below.
It's somewhere.
It's somewhere. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see where you're coming from on this, Ed. Again, it sounds nitpicky to say it's your least favorite or less entertaining matchup, because nothing about it was really not entertaining. I think it was just, you knew where it was going, you knew what to expect, but nothing about what they did inside that ring was bad. I mean, especially coming off of what we saw between Jimmy and Jay at WrestleMania, this was a hell of a step above that, especially for main event Jey Uso, who still looks strong in defeat here. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's still, I don't know that I necessarily buy main event Jey Uso as main event Jey Uso. He's over as hell. I just don't know if I buy him as a future world champion. But yes, definitely a mid-card champion or Intercontinental US title. I can buy into that a little bit more. But it was a quality matchup between two quality wrestlers. I think that, again, it helps solidify Damian a little bit stronger, and I hope that they continue to solidify Damian stronger, so that even when he does drop the title, that he can still be in that picture, and maybe that this is only the first of multiple title reigns that we'll get out of Damian Priest.
Yeah. Can we also just talk for a quick second before we move on to the next match about match times? 19 minutes, 25 seconds for the street fight. Fine. It needs a little bit more time. It's an overbooked disaster mess that I adore. Bayley, Naomi, and Tiffany get 13 minutes, 10 seconds. If you asked me how long that matchup was at its shortest, I would have told you at least 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Can't imagine this match was actually shorter than 15 minutes. Damian Priest, Jey Uso, 15 minutes, 45 seconds. Tag match between Bianca and Jade and the Kabuki Warriors, 17:25. And then Cody and AJ Styles, 27 minutes, 20 seconds.
Wow.
But none of that seems too wrong. Like, everything was kind of given that they were probably told approximately 15 minutes. Even if someone goes 13, 17, when calling a match in the ring, feeding off of a live audience and stuff like that, you got to understand that there's going to be a give or take of a few minutes in those kinds of situations. So when people say, "Oh, it was only 13 minutes," well, they were probably told 15. Just like the ones that go 17 or the ones that hit the 15 mark, they're told 15 minutes when the card is designed and what they're told the finish and stuff like that. So I can see why that's given that. And AJ, Cody were probably told 30. They're to go out there. You've got about 30 minutes, give or take, based on where we're at when you get to the ring and the bell rings.
I was more pointing out the idea that women got 30 minutes on this pay-per-view for a 3-hour pay-per-view, but it's not like they got shortchanged by any real measure in terms of the overall pay-per-view, because of the fact that the other matches that went there were all in the same general vicinity as these two women's matches, and 5 matches on the card, 2 of which were women's match. Like, that's a bold statement. Triple H is like, look, we may not have as many matches. They may not be exactly equal, but we're going to give them time to do the things that they do, and we're not going to shortchange them anymore. And with everybody worried about how WWE Speed being announced that it's going to have women's matches coming, is whether or not WWE is going to go back into the all women's matches of 3 to 5 minutes. This pay-per-view is telling you that's not going to happen.
Yeah. And also to think about, like, this is probably, I've had somebody pointed out on Twitter, the second longest women's tag team match that we had in WWE in quite a while, because the last time was in 2019, which the match was in TLC, and it was 26 minutes. So to think about, like, this is the second longest match for the women's tag team championships. Like, that's just incredible to think about, because the matches are not usually that long. So to see it happening tonight was something different. I enjoyed seeing that too.
Yeah, it was a great accomplishment. And again, we'll talk about that matchup now too. We got the Kabuki Warriors defending against Jade and Bianca. And one of the highlights, aside from Jade being in a much longer matchup, not being hidden in a tag team matchup either. Jade was at the forefront of this thing from start to finish. Other than a minor little misstep where there was a little bit of waiting there for a move halfway through, Jade was looking just fine throughout this whole thing. The finish to this, fantastic. Jade looked great there as well too. So obviously the work is being put in. It's being respected. It's being on display right here with, being put into the tag division. You couldn't have a better teacher at your side than Bianca Belair, who's going to lead Jade through the ins and outs of how to work the WWE audiences, the shows, the expectations. Fantastic pairing. And this felt like 2 tag teams wrestling for tag team titles. And again, the women's tag team titles, a main feature on this card, the second last match of the card, and given a respectable amount of time. Phenomenal. Just phenomenal. I loved it. So Astrid or Ed, either one of you, thoughts on this?
Well, Ed is muted, by the time he figures it out, it'll give me enough time. No, and not only that, but I love the Bianca and Jade having, like, the matching gear and everything. Like, lately, ever since Mania, they look like a team. And it's nice to see them, like you said, in our chat, it's like they don't look like 2 singles people together. They look like a team now, and especially now when they had that goal of going after the tag titles. And again, there was only that moment that Jade was kind of standing there for a little bit too long waiting for Kairi. I think the only thing that took me off of this match was the part of when the referee tells Kairi, "Oh no, you cannot pin her because you're not the one that's legal in the match." And then she goes towards the ropes, and then Asuka tags herself in. It's like, why would you tag herself in when she wasn't even legal to begin with? Just get in there. You don't have to tag her. And it's like that little moment is the only thing that threw me off of this match, because it was going so well in, like, such a great sequence there, and then that threw me off. And I was like, that was the only thing that bothered me within this match. But other than that, I feel like the girls did great. The double team moves that Bianca and Jay were doing together, they look great, like, even visually as a team. And I love seeing that. And it was one of those moments that is like, since the match got announced, I was like, I know they're taking those titles. And it's nice to see them, like, looking reunited the way they did here as well. I feel like then now, even Bianca said, it's like, this is the end of my chapter with Damage Control, because now they're going to move on to Raw and I'm done with them. And it's nice to see them getting kind of like that closure, but not only taking the titles, but even now Damage Control being a part of Raw, she doesn't get involved with them anymore. And it's nice to see this happening. And now Bianca's a Triple Crown champion in WWE, which is nice to see as well, for her to accomplish that. And Jade has her first championship in WWE in just a few months of being the main roster as well. So just, this was incredible all around.
Yeah, it was a good time. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. Jade's getting better week by week. You know, you're going to have stumbling blocks with Jade in order to get the greatness that's going to eventually come that everybody else seems to see. Like I said, I may not be the biggest Jade Cargill fan, but pairing her with Bianca Belair in a tag team is a way to protect her. It lets Bianca do the heavy lifting. It lets Jade Cargill come in there. As she gets better, she's going to get more and more ring time. WrestleMania, we saw she had 1:45. She had way more than that in this match, and she held her own. She didn't look completely out of place. Good sign. The referee thing with Kairi and Asuka was weird. But overall, it's a good step. The bigger question is we're now changing the experience pool of the opponents for Jade Cargill going forward. Is this going to hurt her development when we start seeing her paired up against teams like Kaden Carter and Katana Chance? As much as I love the Unholy Union, Alba and Isla aren't necessarily used to working with somebody who's as green as Jade Cargill. Are they going to be able to get the best out of them? It's one thing when you do this working with Kairi Sane and working with Asuka. These women have been doing this for years and years and years and years and years. And the indie scene that, the British indie scene that the Unholy Union was a part of is going to be different than working with Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair. However, let's err on the side of the positivity. Everything looks to be doing good. WWE has taken their time to make sure that they present Jade Cargill in the most positive and glowing of ways. So let's hope that everything is going to be said and done. And like I said last night when Astrid brought up the fact that Alicia Edwards is now a tag team champion, as long as it's a tag team, I'm fine with it. Because in TNA, Masha gets to do all the work and Alicia gets to be there and be the yappy dog that, just yaps a lot, doesn't really do anything. And Jade Cargill is going to get better. She's going to do more. Like I said, they've been giving her more and more to do. She took bumps today. She looked great taking those bumps today in this match. I really thought Jade Cargill was a standout in this match, believe it or not.
Look at you, Ed.
I can say nice things if I have to.
We're going to have to start a year of nice rants from Ed.
No. We're going to have rants. And by the way, I do want to bring something up. I don't know if we should, but the reason why I was muted is I was looking into this. So an awkward moment. At the very end, Triple H allowed one last question for the thing. And somebody asked about Drew Gulak's release and if it was tied to Ronda Rousey. He cited PW Insider as a source for this. And Triple H's response was, well, first, if you're going to cite sources, cite good ones.
Wow.
And then proceeded to say that we have talent releases all the time. It's an unfortunate part of the business, but these things happen. And then I stopped listening because at that point we've gotten the best part out of it, which is that apparently Triple H does not view PW Insider and Mike Johnson as a viable news source. So, interesting to know.
Very, very ouch on that end. But
they're amazing. The French Backlash was fantastic. Please go back and watch it. It's worth the watch. Can Triple H take a shot at the Wrestling Observer next? Probably. He's been doing it for 20 years. I just think he's not going to stop now.
Nope.
See, the IWC does enough of that as it is, so I don't think Papa H needs to step in. So we got one more to talk about, I think. At least wrestling anyway. And that's the main event of the evening, the WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes in his first title defense against AJ Styles. A match that we knew had the capability of being a solid matchup, even with the minimal build that's gone with it. It's been, let's be honest, there's very minimal build leading into this matchup. It didn't have the level of excitement of, say, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns to finish the story or anything like that. But what we were truly looking for here is how Cody's first title defense would turn out. And turn out well it did. This matchup was quality from start to finish. every bit of what makes AJ Styles awesome at what he does was on display in this matchup. Held up as well by Cody and what he brings to that ring, the excitement of the audience. Everything about this screamed fantastic classic main event, especially for a card like this. This topped everything else in the end. Well done by both these two competitors. This was my match of the night. It was hands down. There was no sleeper. There was a couple of sleepers on here that I thought were great matches. This match stole the show like a main event should, in my opinion.
Yep. And we can also announce some breaking news, I believe.
Okay.
Yay. Yep.
Via Fightful, which I'll admit, I'm not the biggest Fightful fan, but their news stories are pretty top-notch. Most of the time they get things right. I'm assuming that this is definitely going to be right. WrestleMania is in Las Vegas, everybody.
Oh.
Let's go.
April 19th
on 420.
It is a late one, folks. We're not quite in May like they thought we were going to be. April 19th and 20th next year. But Nashville goes Vegas.
Yeah, I'm going to Vegas, people.
No, I thought that was a great match.
It's rather tempting.
I really enjoyed Cody versus AJ. I thought it was a good match. It did what it needed to do. Like Cody said, it was the beginning of a new story. It was that first step. It didn't have to be the greatest thing ever in the world. It just needed to be a good first step. It didn't Shinsuke Nakamura AJ Styles this, which is nice. It was a dream match that kind of lived up to the dream. Hopefully they can revisit that a little bit going forward. But at this point right now, we can just calm down. We can relax. And we can start to ease Cody Rhodes into another couple just basic ones before we get to Solo Sikoa. And I'm assuming I would do SummerSlam. I would do Solo Sikoa there. I don't think we're getting Rock at SummerSlam. I think we're going to have to wait till Mania in Vegas for that one.
Yep. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. For me, though, this match, it's not that it wasn't good, but I feel like it didn't keep my attention the way I hoped. I feel like the opener did better on that end of it. But again, I enjoyed the match. I'm glad these two had this the first time they go against each other, and we'll probably hopefully get a rematch. Because I feel like this is something we would like to see happening again as well. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting. It's Cody's first defense. It's like I wasn't expecting him to lose at any time soon. But again, I feel like the only thing I was thinking about was like, where does AJ go from here after this loss? So that has me really curious. But aside from that, I think it was really fine. And nothing aside from that. I feel like the Mania news in Vegas really took me over this as well now.
STG saying the main event was one of my favorite matches in a long time. Good storytelling during the match and good technical wrestling. I agree. Mm-hmm. And we also, going back on, because we all kind of want to talk about Mania now, STG is correct. That is Easter weekend, which is going to be very interesting for WWE.
Easter Sunday is on 420 and WrestleMania.
My first thought was dang, so late in April. They're amazing. Also, let Snoop Dogg fight a WrestleMania next year, a.k.a. the one on 420.
Drop it like it's hot.
Quick look. This will be the latest WrestleMania has ever been in the calendar. I agree. Normally, when WrestleMania moves off that first week or so of April, it normally pushes itself to normally earlier in the year on March. So to push all the way back to the late April is going to be fun. Oh my God. Oh my God. I cannot believe Easter Sunday and 420 all rolled in one on WrestleMania. Bobby, you are not allowed to be on the air.
Come on. Come on.
No.
Mm-mm.
We are giving you that night off so you can thoroughly enjoy it.
Bobby, be right back, booking my hotel.
Support you, which means you're not on the air next year for night 2.
So I got to do night 1 instead?
You don't have to do any of them. You can just enjoy yourself the whole weekend if you want.
I'll just do all the indie stuff. It's okay.
Le Backlash, Avion, Personne de Post de Fromage.
Something but cheese.
I know, I was going to say, I know cheese at the end.
Now I'm hungry, damn it. Thanks, Jimmy.
Well, you're hungry because we're rounding out the show, but we do want to talk about something.
There's other reasons why I'm hungry, trust me.
There's other things that we want to talk about as we round out the show. More news was given to us as the King of the Ring is starting to take shape. And we're going to talk about a few of these matches before we head on out of here because we're only 46 minutes in and we got a few more minutes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this beefy boy. Drew McIntyre versus Finn Balor. Oh, that's not your cup of tea? All right, fine. How about Kofi Kingston versus Rey Mysterio? No? Still not your thing? All right, how about Ricochet versus Ilya Dragunov? What? Your mock talks wrestling and you're still not entertained enough? Fine. How about Gunther versus Sheamus one more time? That's just the Raw side. Santos Escobar, seemingly Bobby Lashley, Carmelo Hayes are all seemingly three of the people who are going to be on the SmackDown side of that. But you know what? We enjoy talking some ladies wrestling. How about this one? Zoe Stark versus Ivy Nile. Shayna Baszler versus Zelina Vega. That'll be fun. I'll actually really Lyra Valkyria versus Asuka. Her first match on Raw is going to be against Asuka. Io Sky versus Natalya. WWE is literally just playing, let's just throw the best matches we can at the wall on television and see what happens.
I have a funny feeling that Lyra's going to go over in that matchup. That's going to be your shock victory. That Asuka's going to do the job to her on that very night.
Maybe. I mean, Damage Control is having some issues right now. Io Sky lost her title. Now the tag titles are gone.
Just watch. I think I'm going to call it now.
It's never been later than April 11th before now. Good luck with travel that week. Yeah, travel for WrestleMania next year is going to be a bitch. Traveling. You know what? Everybody's going to have to stay till Monday. I mean,
I don't have an issue with that.
Anyway, so might as well stay the extra day.
It's Vegas. Stay the whole week.
Yep. Still got SmackDown side to be confirmed, but the Raw side is indeed, as STG says, a banger.
And then once they announce the other side, it's a banger after a banger.
Or burger after burger. After burger.
Geez.
Oh, I made a burger.
Well, you know what? We need to let Bobby get out of here so he can go get a burger with cheese. So, Bobby, why don't you go ahead and tell us, where can we find you on the socials?
There's the socials down below. On the X, it's at Real Bobby Munson, Instagram and Threads, at Video Bros SK, and on Twitch, at VideoBro_Bobby Munson. You can catch me tomorrow, point of view, 11 a.m. Eastern time. You can also catch me Prairie Pro Wrestling every Saturday with Papa Smokes, and also Thursday nights, Papa Smokes with Ring Respect Radio. And thank you, both of you, for having me on the show here today.
Yeah. Astrid, where can the good people find you?
I mean, if you want to watch the replay, you can go back to Jose on the Air, his channel. So he had me earlier with Ella and Kimmy, who's been with us before, all of us on Ovally, where he had us earlier for our previous show, Backlash. Again, you can find me on Tuesday with this one right here, doing Taking Over. And then Monday, we'll be doing Talking Takeover. So we get a double dose of us this week. Yay, NXT. Aside from that, you can find Body Slam. You can find my latest interview. So it'll be with Zeta Steele, Emily J. The next one will be Jasmine Lillard, Top Tier. So really excited for that one as well. And other than that, you can find it as it is there. Twitter, Blue Skies, astridpizarro. Threads and Instagram, astridpizarro20.
You can find me on the Twitter at edfries12584. You can find me on the Twitch at twitch.tv/edfries2002. That's where I do my gaming when I have it. I'm going to hopefully get into some gaming with some more AFK Journey in the near future. Got to get back into the WWE 2K24 realm. Now the status is free. We can go ahead and get back into a little bit of that. But yes, talking about Talking Takeover this Monday night is going to be a fun one because we are finally at, in my mind, the first great takeover. We are at Takeover Our Evolution, the debut of Kevin Owens, which means we all know what comes next. There are some great matches on this card. There are some matches that you don't remember that were on this card. And of course, we get to go into our Wayback Machine and talk about where people are now. And we're starting to get to the point where people are now coming back that weren't here before. They're coming back. Like Ty Dillinger is going to be on this show, and he's not even in his 10 persona. No, 10.
No, yeah, I know.
But for myself, Ola Ed Fries, for the natural, Astrid Pizarro, for the real one, Bobby Munson. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.